And now we'd like to talk about the Move tool. And there's lots of different ways to move objects without actually using the Move tool, because you can nudge objects and you can mirror and you can copy. You can use your control button and kind of move it and press and drag and stuff. But there is times when you do want to actually use the Move tool. So I've just got some props in here again, and you can move objects in a plan view, in a 3D view, in elevational view, so it doesn't really matter. I can, take this desk, and now the easiest way to move it really is to just take your press and drag like this, but you don't really get to specify a point or be more accurate with it. It sometimes may snap to different things. If you put it on a floor, it'll all of a sudden jump on top of the floor. But so when you want to move something more accurately, you would just use the Move tool. And let's do it from a plan view. I'm just going to double click and open up my level 1. I'm zoomed in on my little condo building here. So if we want to move a wall somewhere, let's take this. Oops, that's a window. Let's just grab this wall. I'll say create similar because I want another one over here somewhere. And that looks like it's the right direction. You can use your space bar to flip that. Okay, now I can trim these or do other things, but as an example, okay, with the Move tool, you can either pick the object first and then go say Move, or you can say Move first and then pick the object. If there's a door or a window within the object you're moving, these windows and doors will all move with it because they are hosted by the wall. There's a hierarchy of objects in Revit, and in this case walls sit higher and the walls and doors and windows are inside, so they will move with it. The easiest way I find to move this is just pick the wall if you wanted to, and then you say Move. And then you read your status bar in the bottom. Don't hover over anything, and it says click to enter start point. So I'll say, okay, well, I want a start point. I'm going to zoom in here, okay, and I'm going to hover over that endpoint and go, and you'll see endpoint pick, little snap. Now, as you go to move it, you have some options. Always read your options here. One says constrain and one says disjoin. Disjoin means that if there's another wall or something talking to it over here, it's not going to try to drag the other wall with it. It'll disjoin. If you say constrain, when you go to move it, it's like an ortho. It'll only move orthogonally, which is really nice. Okay, you can take your constrain off. If you go to drag it to your new point, if you hold your Shift key in, it automatically constrains it. So by using the Shift key on your keyboard does the same thing as turning this on. In fact, when I do it, it temporarily puts a check mark in there. So always check your options bar no matter what you're doing here. There's all kinds of goodies in here that you're not going to know about. I still stumble across different options because I don't even pay attention. Second thing, finally, we pick our next point. Pick, and there it is. We've moved it from there to there. Okay, just as an example now. Let's take this tree. Pick on it, move, okay, constrain, and then as I move it, it's only going to move. And notice the snap. See how Revit is very good at aligning things. As you go to move it, it'll start to kind of find other objects. You see now, if I want to move that parallel to this point, I turn my constraint on, click, and all of a sudden it's plumb with this. Okay, try that again. Notice it stays highlighted too. After you select it, it's really nice. Doesn't lose your selection set. You can continue to trim or rotate or copy. Let's copy. Do the same thing. Look, constrain. I can do multiple copies, but either way, I can pick a point again here. Now as I make a copy, I can go down and hover over this edge and it'll place it right there. So using your constrain, and we'll talk about this nearby moves with nearby objects. Now I'm just going to hit escape. Okay, so we can also move things in an elevational view. Let's go down to our south elevation, double click. I've got some more levels created here. Okay. And when I go to move a window, I can pick on the window and I say move. Check my options. I don't want any constraint. Disjointing's not going to make any difference. Pick on here. What happens if I try to move it outside of here? Oh, it's going to give me an error. Okay, outside of wall, delete the instance. It's not going to let me move a window outside of the wall. Okay, now watch what happens here. Objects are very much tied. I'm just going to press and drag and move that. You see how easy it is to move randomly? I don't have to even say move, I can just move it. Look where that window is. If I look here, it says it's at level 1 with the head height. Let's change that to be 7 feet. Okay, now if you pick on this window, it says it's on level 2. Okay, when you move objects, like if I wanted to move walls that are on the first floor to the second floor, you don't really move them. You use copy and paste to move objects from level to level. But windows, if the wall, or even if it's a separate wall, in an elevation, you can actually move it from level to level. So if I pick on this, you couldn't always do this, by the way, and I move it or copy it, let's just use our move tool. Move from here up to here somewhere. Okay, now where I look at it, click out, go back and pick on here. Oh, it did leave it on level 1. Interesting. I was thinking it was going to change it to be on level 2. Now, oh, that's because this wall is all on level 1. Interesting. Okay, let's take this, bring it down. Wonder if I split this wall. I don't need to save right now. I'm going to split this wall right here. And see if, zoom in, it changes it to a different level. Pick on here. Now that's on level 2. Okay, so now watch. This window will now say it's on level 2 because I've split the wall and this wall is now on level 2 instead of being one continuous wall. This is what I was going to demonstrate is if I take this and copy it or move it, okay, this is much a lesson on levels. Up to here, it's going to say, can't cut instance out of wall. Hit cancel. Okay, so when you try to move this window from wall to wall, what I need to do is I need to pick on here and I need to say pick new host. That will allow me to go up and move it to a new wall. Windows and doors, when they switch hosts, be it level or not, now when you pick on this window, the difference is now it's going to say it's on level 2. So when you move a window from one wall to the next, either vertically or even in plan, that's how you do it. Okay, you can move a window easily within the same host. Those windows aren't being cut. Let's go up to my level 2. They're not being cut there either. Let's go back to the south elevation here for a second, and let's take these windows here. Just hover and tab to select them. Use my control button. I'm going to move those guys over. And I'm going to move them down to where I think my cut plane is cutting through right about here. So now they'll show up in my level 1. There they are. Okay. So now when I go to move this, let's stretch this wall out a little bit. Using my shift key to keep it nice and straight when you drag that. If I take this and I say move from here to here, okay, it's not going to do it. It's going to try to keep it within the same wall. But if I say pick new host, that's when I can go over here and move it from wall to wall. So windows in particular and doors or anything that's hosted by an object, when you move it from host to host, you don't really use the move tool, you use the pick new host tool. And that just gets us started with the move tool. We've got more stuff to talk to in the move tool part 2.